What a way to spend your day, huh? I mean, you know, where so many of us are pushing paper and just trying to make money for ourselves or for somebody else, you know, your perspective is a great one. You can have a whole different experience with your work every day. It's got to be very rewarding.
It is. It's one of the greatest blessings of my life to get to serve the community in this way, and to get to serve people who, for whatever, you know, reasons, their life led them to my door and they have something they want to do that benefits the world, or the animals here in Butte County, or, you know, an orphanage in the south of India, or what have you. And so I'll tell you, knowing that we're surrounded by amazing human beings with the capacity to give and the capacity to be selfless has been one of the ways that I have personally gotten through this campfire tragedy. Because, you know, you referred to it, but the community foundation doubled in size overnight just in sheer need. We had to, because we only take 1% of all campfire donations, meaning 1 penny on the dollar, and that has always been the case and that will always be the case. We had to go out and raise additional funds just so that we could build up, so that we could handle what was on our plate with the campfire. And so it's been a big journey, and the team at the foundation are just, I call them love warriors and healers. I mean, they just grind for their mission to help reduce the suffering here on the planet. And knowing how good people are, I think, does get us through the day. And we had so much evidence before that even with all of this pain and suffering, we know that good is going to come from this. We're going to get through it.
Yeah. And you mentioned your team. I have to say, just in the work I've done with your team, getting this interview lined up, they're great people, and they're really devoted to the mission. You're so personable, and you're out there in the front kind of promoting and doing all this work, but you have a lot of people behind you that are doing amazing work too. Talk about them and how they feel about the organization.
Well, one thing I'd like to share is that we are kind of bound by a shared mission to serve and to reduce suffering, and that's in each of their hearts. That's not something that I gave them. That's not something the North Valley Community Foundation gave them. They'd have their own words for what that looks like, but essentially I think we're bound by that mission in our heart, which makes life at the foundation pretty easy. When you're with people that share a mission and are there for their own reason, it makes work really pleasant and wonderful. At the same time, they're highly qualified, you know, individuals with a lot of skill and talent that work tirelessly for this and have. Everyone's going to have their own version of this story because there have been so many helpers, but I can tell you, the weeks after the fire, when the smoke was so thick in our office building in Chico, California, that masks had to be worn and filters and everything everybody already knows about what happened, they just showed up every day and did what it took to make sure that there was a place where people could call, because we became a resource center. Even more than the donations, even more than making sure that the rest of the world knew they could give to our little community and it would be tended to properly, I think one of the most meaningful roles we played was connecting individuals that were impacted by the fire to Butte 211, to FEMA, to the organizations that we were already funding that we knew had individual assistance programs. And we did that by default. We literally did that because when you have 20,000+ families and individuals impacted asking for help, one organization or agency cannot handle it. So people were calling because they saw us on Facebook, because somebody mentioned us on MSNBC, because you know, kind-hearted Aaron Rodgers decided to contribute $1 million to a fund with us. And we knew that we were going to take that brand that had been elevated, the North Valley Community Foundation, and use it for good. So we became a resource center overnight. All of that was done by my team. There were 7 people initially, and now there are 15, and each one of them in their own ways have held the Community Foundation together during this time. And I always say it's been my wife and my son and my tribe at the Community Foundation that's the reason I get up every day and do what I'm able to do. They're inspiring to me, and you know, I just hope to make sure they know how loved they are and how cared for they are.
That's why I wanted to make sure I called them out, because you can see it when you really interact with the folks on your team. You can see how much they care about it.